I hereby call on February 9th, 2026, a meeting of the Town of Hanson Planning Board to order at 6:30 p.m. I'd also like to announce for those in attendance that this meeting is being recorded for distribution on the Whitman-Hanson Community Access Channel. Playback times and other related information on this recording can be found at whcatv.com. Tonight's meeting is taking place here in the Select Board Meeting Room at 542 Liberty Street, here in the Town Hall of the Town of Hanson. Before we go into our agenda this evening, I wanted to take a minute and just put on the record some of the saddest news in my 10 years of being here that I've had to even think on. And it's something I thought that we would never have to deal with, but it's one of those things that it just happens here in life. 2 weeks ago from this evening, we were sitting here with a full board, and one of the most tenured members of the planning board, or the most tenured member of the planning board, Mr. Don Ellis, was sitting here with us, and just as funny and jovial as can be, offering his stories of being in town and his past, and telling us of his family and his hopes for some stuff moving in the future, especially some of the things that he was involved with. And some of his passions, and that's the reason why back when he became a member of the planning board, and the planning board basically got up at that time because of some controversies that were happening, got up and walked out, and everybody had resigned. Don wouldn't falter. He wouldn't join in that same commitment, because his opinion of doing right by the town far outweighed individual needs and wants, and he knew that he was here sitting in the chair, as I'm hoping that everybody else that gets elected, he knew that something sitting in this chair means that he is being able to give something back to the town which is bigger than himself. And he thought that that was the proper course, was to stay on. No matter how many meetings he could only attend as one person, he eventually got the word out that the planning board needed some help, and with the assistance of some people in town, we started to get the planning board back up and prominent again. And coming on and then being nominated a few years back as the chair for the planning board, Don spent a few moments, and he actually took the gavel after the meeting, and he wanted to hand it to me just in some private time. And he was letting me know that, you know, no matter how many disagreements that one another can have, you know, it's a matter of a shared opinion, or whether it's a disagreement. He was always reminding me in those private moments, in those private times, to always just remember it's just the board, it's the board, and try not to let anything personally attack us, you know, individually as members. He often commented about how he was glad to see some of the younger generation come on board, and he even said that about me. I'm 50, so I was a little shocked when he would say that. Don spoke extremely highly of Mr. Tony DeFrace and how he runs his office. He always gave praise to Tony, and it's all well deserved. And then he also spoke often, and I'm sure the board members would agree, he spoke often of his family, especially his grandchildren. But one of the things that he really spoke a lot about was this town of Hanson. And he was quite committed to the town. So before we get started, I just wanted to see if anybody else on the board wanted to spend a moment in reflection and say some comments about Don, and then I'd ask for a moment of silence and reflection. So if anybody had any comments.
Just a quick comment for myself. He once invited me over to his house. He was very proud of his new house that he had built, and he welcomed me into his house and showed me around, and he was just really proud of that whole property and the house that he had built. That I think he knew he'd live the rest of his life out in that house. And beautiful house, by the way. And I really enjoyed that time of personal reflection and getting to know him a little bit better outside of the board. and he's just a good guy, you know.
So yeah, so Don really just wanted to promote to caring for one another, regardless of any disagreements. And Don promoted that, and that's one of the core values of this board, and we'll definitely continue that. And we are very sad to pass on that on February 3rd, Don left us, and we'll see him again someday. And our thoughts and care and condolences to his family. The services will be coming up this week. They are posted online. Services are going to be this Thursday evening. They are posted online if anybody is looking for those. And so I just ask for a moment of reflection for Mr. Don Ellis. Thank you very much. And unfortunately, starting the meeting like that, if we did anything other than what Don would say is continue with our meeting, I would be remiss in doing my job as the chair and what he asked us to always do, and that was always keep things moving forward. So the first thing we have on our agenda this evening is an agenda item to approve the January 12th, 2026 open session public meeting minutes. Your item 1 in your packet.
If you just give me one moment, I remember seeing one correction. It was a clerical error.
Sure.
Just give me 1 second. I was seeing something I thought. Must be mistaken. I'll move to approve the minutes of January 12th, 2026.
Motion on the floor to approve the minutes for January 12th.
I'll second it.
Motion's been made and properly seconded. Any discussion in regards to that vote?
I have to abstain. I wasn't here.
Mr. Benado will be abstaining. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed and abstentions. 302, Tony. We have an appointment to discuss the expansion of the business and commercial industrial zones. Tom Planker.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So, we had discussed something similar to this probably about a year, maybe 2 years ago now. And one of the issues that we're running to in town is we have a lot of interest in small businesses wanting to come into Hanson, but unfortunately limited in location. We've seen an increase in businesses that are landscape-based, contractors, used cars. Those seem to be 3 of the most popular businesses that want to come into town, but again, they are small businesses. And what we're running into, or what we're seeing, is because there's nowhere for them to go, their other option is to approach the Zoning Board of Appeals through the special permit process and apply for a home-based business. Well, the idea of a home-based business, though we have a list of what they are, really is meant for an office and maybe a commercial vehicle. What we're running into is a business that's full-fledged in a residential zone. So, for instance, there's one in particular in town, I'm not going to mention where or the address, but it's in a residential zone. They did receive the special permit, which my understanding is going to get appealed, but it's a full-blown business with materials on site, employees coming to the house, all kinds of increased traffic. So I bring this back to the board, and I brought it up to the board of the Economic Development Committee, excuse me, that I think we may and should examine our business zones and potentially expand them. And when I say expand them, I'm not talking about expanding them for miles, though if that's what the town want to do, that's one thing. But look at some of these business zones and expand them, even if it's 500 feet. And of course, when I say look at them, we really have to take a look and put them under a microscope and see what's in these business zones, what's adjacent to these business zones, can an expansion work, would it work, are the properties adjacent to it, would they be good for businesses? And I think maybe we should also look at, there's some areas where you have some businesses already within a residential zone that have been there forever, maybe creating some type of business zone around those. And I just think that we need to take a look, or we're going to run into more problems with the home occupation special permit. And that's something I think that we also should maybe re-examine that section of the bylaw and look at that, and that bylaw may need some new language or additional language to sort of prevent, people that they live in a residential zone and suddenly, bam, somebody's got a business in their zone, and they're dealing with everything that goes along with it. The noise, the traffic, and then it becomes an enforcement issue. And enforcement through the building commissioner's office can be a long process, can be an expensive process.
It's controversial.
Right. So it's one of those things where I think we should try and be ahead of the curve and be proactive versus reactive. So I brought this back to the board to get your feedback, your thoughts, and if it's something that the board would be interested in pursuing and examining. And we could always potentially see if there's grant funding available for a consultant to take a look at that through the one stop. So that's why this is on the agenda tonight. And just so you're aware, this map that's on the screen is the most current zoning map. This has been amended to include and show the MBTA overlay district, so which was adopted at town meeting and approved by the Attorney General's office. So this is the most current map we have, and so we have business zones peppered throughout town. Obviously, the largest being along Liberty Street near Town Hall, with some smaller zones along Main Street and along Route 58 on Ponset Street. So, I mean, we do have commercial, industrial zone along Main Street. That's it's pretty significant, but again, it's still trying to find places for businesses, or we're going to have just issues, I think, or maybe have a meeting with the zoning board of appeals and discuss with them. Again, we have to look at, I think, our home occupation type of deals and take a look at that.
I think definitely it's a discussion we should incorporate the ZBA in as well, because thinking back and remembering that we've also lost commercial space, business space, right along Liberty Street. There were 2 corner lots that we heavily suggested to the ZBA to retain with the development that was going in. That's under their purview, and they did not. There was no pressure on the developer to try to at least retain us. I believe that it wouldn't even matter now because that lot's now a drainage lot. On top of the fact, when we talk about the enforcement, it is disappointing when a business owner comes in and just abuses things. It's sad and unfortunate when the building inspector's wrapped up in enforcement in one area, and that somebody else might think, oh well, they're not really looking at my lot. because it's down in the neighborhood. So that it does cause a lot of problems having all that stuff spread out. But I know that enforcement with another business along Liberty Street has also been it's also been pretty difficult. But the fact also, if you look in our areas that we have the businesses, there are some buildings that are not being used, and they're only being used as maybe a residential, an apartment above, or something like that. So it's like a 360. But it definitely would be good to have a conversation with the ZBA to see what their flavor is as far as enforcement, and then also the town. But if
I mean, it's just becoming a problem.
yeah, the problem is it seems like we're getting more applications for in-home business in areas not applicable to the business zone, as opposed to business zoned areas, and some of that could absolutely be improved if there was a renaissance down on Main Street.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, the Economic Development Committee and the town has always had an interest in the revitalization of Main Street.
Yeah.
So maybe looking at Main Street might be, if we look at Liberty Street and we say, okay, that's a pretty large business zone that we have. Maybe we kind of look at Main Street and see, okay, between, say, Phillips Street and Route 58, we kind of take a look at that corridor and see, okay, what's there, what type of properties are there, is there room for that kind of expansion, but it's just becoming an issue, and we're hearing about it more and more, and it puts the ZBA in a tough spot, because you get a lot of people that might say, well, you let this guy do this, so why can't I do it? And it doesn't necessarily mean that they have to, because they really don't. It's a special permit, but it just becomes an issue. So I was, again, looking for feedback, thoughts. If it's let's just keep what we have. Let's take a look at it again. I can see if there's grant funding out there available to pursue a consultant to, like we did with the 40 R and Y district, or when we did the MBTA overlay, to look at the town and see, okay, what's our businesses, what do we have, where are they, and see what expansion might be possible and where it might be possible, without causing people to get upset about it. So, any thoughts from you?
So, if I make a comment.
Yeah, absolutely.
One thing I mentioned in the past is just kind of if we did approach this process, if we could include the current businesses that might not be in a business zone, just so that we can kind of get an accurate feel for where the businesses are, and also a lot of these businesses, the ones I'm referring to anyway, might have been there for more than 30, 40 years. So they're not changing, nobody's trying to change it into a residential zone anyway. It's always been a commercial business at that location. So if we could get those changed over, I don't think those businesses would have any problem with them being changed over to a business zone, even if it's individual properties. And then we would have a little bit more of an accurate count of what we do have for business. And we are talking about business zone, not commercial zone, right?
Right.
Right. Two different.
Small, medium.
Yeah.
Because the guidelines for a business property would be different from a commercial property.
I mean, one thing, if you look at the commercial industrial zone, just say right here on the west side of town, it looks huge, but all this is wet.
Yeah, conservation.
All this is not even close to being usable. Only along the street is it, and up in here is, there's heavy, vast areas of wetland. So, I mean, when you get down into this area, you talk about Crooker Place, you're talking about Hawks Ave, which down in those areas again, you have a lot of conservation land. So there really isn't available space there to do anything.
But you know, declaring a corridor, or an expansion of an existing corridor, doesn't necessarily mean that that's going to stop somebody from applying for an in-home.
Oh,
and
correct.
Then appealing it, and you know.
Yeah. The whole idea is to not. I mean, you're right. It might be a. You know, this is why I brought this up for discussion. This could be a two-pronged attack, if you will. One, looking at expansion of a business zone and tightening up the in-home occupation, so that we're not having, you know, we make it really clear that, look, the in-home occupation might be for this business, but the only thing you're going to have on site is A and B and C, and that's it. You know, because again, even if you grant the special permit, if they violate the special permit, the good thing is you can enforce, because you can say, okay, the special permit's being violated, but you have to go through that whole process of enforcement. You know.
I also know with the tax base that there's a huge difference between a company that has, how do I do this without outing a business? So if there's a company that has an administration office to sell tiddlywinks, but they also have vehicles and transportation things to transport tiddlywinks and to work on them, I know that the tax base separates how a corporation can be taxed for just having an administration office as opposed to how a corporation is taxed where they store their vehicles. And currently we do have in town existing where we're not getting the taxes from corporations because they've gone through the proper, it's a loophole, they've gone through the proper ways to protect their business as a corporation to not have to pay those business taxes, but they're housing their vehicles and delivery trucks for tiddlywinks in another town, and that town's gaining that tax base. That's a problem when you have the in-home businesses as well. So that we may also have to get involved with finance to find out what's the tax base going to be. Is it going to be different? Is it going to be the same? If an in-home business gets an approval to be able to provide more space on their residential lot for vehicle, how is that going to affect the tax base? That's another part of it. Are they going to be taxed differently because they're in a residential area? So it definitely goes down a rabbit hole. I would much rather see somebody that says they want to have a residential in-home business and have the confines of that one vehicle, an office, that kind of stuff. But if they have other assets that they also contribute back to the town, and find a place in town that they could have that accessory lot, maybe there could be a give and a take in regards to that. You get a break. You're a resident and a business owner in town. I don't know if there's any way to do that as well. You get some kind of incentive.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd have to do some research on that.
Yeah, the corporate tax laws are crazy.
So I guess my first question to the board is this something you want to entertain and examine?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, I think it's definitely something to take a look at. I wouldn't put whole hard efforts on it though. I mean, I think we have some other high priorities, but I think we should definitely see if we can. I'd hate to find out that we're going to have something with like grant fund match or something like that, and then we're just wasting funds.
Yeah, no, I
it's a conservative town as far as development goes. That's for sure. We know that.
Yeah.
And that's not a problem. It's but it's a problem. We don't have enough business now, so it's that that's the head eating the tail of the snake, right?
Yeah, it becomes you have small businesses. They come in, they're like, hey, I want to locate in Hanson. Okay, well, where are you going to locate? Well, there's no place to locate, and I'm going to go to the ZBA and I'm going to get a special permit to do an in-home occupation because that's the only way out, or getting a foothold in town. Because they bought a residence. I mean, this is probably about a year ago. I had one gentleman come in and said, I have no place to go, so I bought a house in a residential zone, then, so I'm gonna go for a home occupation, and it caused a stir because they were storing materials and this and that and the other thing for their business. And then the residents call the town and was like, "Jay, this guy's running a business out of a residential zone. What's going on?" So it becomes
it's a difficult situation.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, one thing I could look at doing is, I could take a look at the business list and maybe try and plot it out and kind of see if there's a concentration of businesses in one location.
Sure.
Or,
That's a good idea.
So, it's something I can bring back to the board at a later date when I've done a little work on it.
Okay.
And
Cool.
see if there's any grants out there that would assist.
Time having arrived of 6:56, I hereby open bring back to the table the continued hearing for the Main Street pedestrian improvements. The project consists of replacing and/or constructing approximately 4,000 linear feet of sidewalk along Main Street from High Street to Elm Street. Discuss the current project status, budget, and grant timeline for design completion. Town planner.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I reached out to Verdantis, who's the consultant on the project, to sort of get an update, and they did email me back today, and I'm going to read the email into the record. And just give me 1 second. So I received this from Roy Messier, who's the project manager on this project, today at 1:32 p.m. It says, "Hi Tony, we are still coordinating to finalize the professional land surveyor to complete with the existing survey information we have, and looking into the street trees and lighting to see where would be the most appropriate location. I will check with Eric, who's Eric Donato. He's also working on the project, and we can have an updated set for presentation on March 9th, which would be the first meeting in March of the planning board. So they'll be coming in hopefully with something good to go, answer all the questions, and we can continue moving that forward to get it done before the June deadline."
Great. Can we put some kind of a notice on the town planning page? Attention residents.
Yeah, I could actually re-notify the abutters along that corridor.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you.
So if the board would like to continue the hearing to the 9th of
Any questions from the
9th
board
of
for the
March.
town planner? Seeing none, entertain a motion to continue the hearing until March 9th.
So moved.
Motion's been made by Mr. Bernardo,
Second.
seconded by Mr. Cohen. Any discussion in regards to that motion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Any abstentions? 4-0-1. Time having arrived at 6:59, I'm going to hereby bring to the table the BESS bylaw amendment. That would be the battery energy storage systems, the BESS systems. In accordance with the Mass General Law, Chapter 48, Section 5 of the Zoning Act, the Planning Board will review proposed amendments to Section 6, Item O, Sub-Item O, for the BESS of the Town of Hanson Land Use Regulation Zoning Bylaw. Amendments are proposed to the following sections of the bylaw: Section 2, definitions; Section 6, use regulation; and Section 7, development of site and location of building and structures. Town planner.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So this is a public hearing. The public hearing notice was placed in the enterprise. I believe you have the public hearing notice in front of you, Mr. Chair.
I see here, posted, originally published in the Enterprise News, February 2nd, 2026. Hearing, February 9th, 2026. Legal notice in accordance with Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 40, Section A. It's the same wording that I just quoted from our agenda. The Town of Hanson Planning Board will conduct a public hearing on Monday, February 9th, 2026, at 6:45 p.m. The Town of Hanson, Hanson Town Hall, in the Select Board Meeting Room, lower level, 542 Liberty Street. The Planning Board will review proposed amendments to the BESS systems of the Town of Hanson Land Use Regulation. A copy of the proposed amendments may be reviewed at the Town Clerk's office So posted on February 22nd, signed my name, Monday, January 26th and February 22nd.
Yep, so it went twice.
Twice.
26th of January and the 2nd of
That's in
February
the Enterprise.
in the Enterprise.
We no longer use the Express.
Correct. So, we have a battery energy storage system bylaw that was originally went to town meeting in 2023 as Article 12. The bylaw establishes definitions, allowed uses, and site plan requirements for Tier 1 and Tier 2 battery energy storage systems. Following the Attorney General review of that bylaw, it was disapproved due to several deficiencies that they felt, which was lack of a clear district-based usage table, insufficient fire and safety provisions, incomplete decommissioning and emergency planning requirements, and inconsistent alignment with the DOER and NFPA technical guidance. That being said, the bylaw was amended and voted again at the October 2024 town meeting, and in 2025, and that passed. In 2024, it passed the town meeting. It went to the Attorney General's office. It was approved by the Attorney General's office. In 2025, the DOER has released new guidance related to the battery energy storage system regulations, and which is prompting the current amendments. So the bylaw addresses any deficiencies that we have, incorporates new elements, and regarding technical guidance. So we have a summary of the proposed changes. In Section 2 on the definitions, it clarifies Tier 1 and Tier 2 capacity thresholds. It adds explicit requirements that all battery energy storage installations comply with the new DOER technical guidance, including standards for energy efficiency, fire suppression, thermal management, monitoring, and operational safety. It establishes that all the systems must adhere to the state building, fire, and electrical codes, as well as NFPA and DOER standards. Under Section 6, which is use regulations, it introduces a district usage table where specifying where Tier 1 and Tier 2 battery energy storage systems are allowed. It clarifies the Tier 2 BESS are permitted by site plan review in Residence A, business, and commercial industrial districts only. It adds requirements that all BESS meet DOER recommended fire suppression, ventilation, and monitoring standards, and strengthens oversight by allowing the planning board to require annual operational compliance reports demonstrating continued functionality of safety systems and funding on decommissioning accounts. The last section is Section 7, which is development of sites and locations of buildings and structures. It expands the site plan review standards for the Tier 2 BES, and that includes comprehensive site and environmental mapping, equipment specifications, and installer operator identification, stormwater and erosion control plans meeting DEP standards, setback justifications for installations near property lines, wetlands, or municipal wells, noise mitigation in compliance with 310 CMR 7.10. It adds DOER compliant fire suppression and thermal management requirements, including temperature and gas monitoring systems. It adds requirements for liability insurance covering the property, injury, and environmental impacts. It establishes that responsibility transfers to any new owner or operator who must notify the planning board within 30 days. It requires annual first responder drills and documentation to ensure readiness and FOP familiarity. It strengthens the decommissioning plan and fund, including peer review inspection and confirmation of adequate funding mechanism. So the rationale behind this is to ensure public safety through explicit requirements for fire suppression, ventilation, and emergency monitoring. It aligns fully with the 2025 DOER guidance and current NFPA and DEP standards. Provides transparency via a clear district use table and written compliance. It approves energy response coordination with documented drills and department approvals. It protects the town's long-term interests through verified decommissioning security and ownership transfer obligations. And lastly, it reduces liability and enhances clarity for applicants, staff, and the public. And then as you proceed through, you'll see the bylaw, and you'll see sections that are in red, and those are the new amended language for the bylaw. So you have section 6 here, which is use regulations, and it tells you the districts that the tier 1 and tier 2 can be in and what is required of them. Then you get into when it's in residence A and AA, all BESS must meet the DOR recommended fire suppression, language that I just used before. Then it talks about required setbacks to property lines, sensitive sites including wetlands and water supply areas. It again talks about it complying with DOER standards for energy efficiency. So all the language in red represents all the new language that has been added to meet the DOER regulations, and I'm hoping that the board had opportunity over the weekend to read the regulations as I sent it to them. So what we're looking for here is, as this is a new bylaw amendment under Section 5 of Mass General Law 48, which is the Zoning Act, the process for amending a zoning amendment of a zoning bylaw is one, this was presented to the select board through the planning board. The select board has now requested that the planning board provide them with a report, and that's what this meeting is tonight. This public hearing is to allow for the planning board to review, provide any edits, comments, and determine if they wish to support this and give a report to the select board to move this forward to town meeting for approval in May.
Any questions from the board?
What are they looking for in a report?
Just an approval.
So it's an approval.
Just us saying yes?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So you can do a oral report which just
Yeah.
says we voted, we've reviewed these, we recommend, we approve these amendments, I recommend that the select board move this to town meeting for vote.
Yeah.
Or you can do it a written. I usually do a vote that of what you did, which is sort of like a written report. And so what I'll do is I'll pass this along to the select board. If
Okay.
the board votes yes, and then they will move it along. It's part of the process.
Right. I read it on the subway coming home, so it looked fine to me. I didn't see any.
Yeah, the edits and all.
Yeah,
that.
the edits here, just so you're aware, these are edits that I worked, we used town council on this, Liz Lyden, who's assisted us on other regulations. So they took a look at it and they made sure that they drafted this language to make sure that these amendments meet the regulations so that we're in good shape.
Any other questions or comments from the board? Mr. Coffey.
A question, yeah. So are we required to have the tier 2 in resident A, AA, B? Are we required to have the tier 2 in those zones?
So, under the use regulations, it says that yes with site plan review. Now, what happens with this, just so you're aware, this falls under section 3 of the Zoning Act, which is similar to solar. So, unfortunately, we can regulate, but we're not able to deny unless
As of right.
unless there's a, let's say, a significant public safety hazard, and that we'd have to demonstrate and explain. So
Yeah.
now with site plan review, the board can look at the site plan and regulate, you know.
Any other questions from the board? As this is a public hearing, I'm going to open the floor to members in the audience. We have with us tonight Mr. Ed Heel from the Select Board and our liaison.
16 Pine Grove Ave, also a select board member. My problem, Kevin asked there's 2 questions that I had recently, but I wish there was something we could do to keep these off of residential properties. I know we're in Massachusetts and we have less control over our zoning as we would like to. I have no problem in a business area or a commercial industrial area, but I personally don't want to live next to a battery storage facility, whatever it is, so it just, it's not good for the town. And I know if there's anything we can do as a town to keep it away from residential property, I don't think anybody wants this in residential areas. I know there's limitations, and this is probably exactly how it's going to go, but I'm just voicing my opinion on that one.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing is they've added tighter regulation on it, but yes, you're right. There's, because of the location in the zoning act, it really ties communities of not being able to say no. And that's why I think Section 3 was created. Obviously, because the projects that are proposed under Section 3 can be controversial and probably would be met with resistance from communities. Therefore,
One would hope, right?
yeah.
Any other questions or comments? Entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So,
Motion's been made by Mr. Benonato.
second.
Seconded by Mr. Cohen. Any discussion in regards to close the public hearing? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? 401, Tony, for closing of the public hearing. The chair would entertain, regrettably, the chair would entertain a motion to move the edits and omits so moved by the town planner in conjunction with town council's input, regrettably, favorably over to the select board.
So moved.
Motion's been made by Mr. Benonato.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Cohen. Any discussions in regards to that motion? The only thing I would add, Tony, is if there's any possibility that the select board could request a letter to be at town meeting from the fire department or have the chief there, because I know that's going to be one of the bigger points. So that motion's been properly made, seconded. Any discussion in regards to that motion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And abstentions? 401. The planning board will move that, the planning office will move that on to the select board with a favorable action to move on to a town meeting in May. May 6th? May 6th?
I think it.
May
Yeah.
6th? I think it's May 6th. And Mr. Hill, thank you for your comments. We all share the exact same. It's unfortunate. Another one of those polished turds. Moving on to board business. There's some leadership changes over at OCPC. You guys will see in your packet the last page. If you would like to attend the legislative breakfast, we've been invited by OCPC and representatives from the South Shore over there for a legislative breakfast, 2026, Friday, February 27th, 8:30 to 10 a.m. over at Thorny Lee in Brockton. It's actually a good spot. OCPC has done quite a revamp of their website.
If I may, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, actually.
If members of the board are going to attend, and there's going to be at least 3 of you,
Yeah, we'll
just
post
please
it.
let me know so I can post it, just covering
Yeah.
bases.
Still haven't had any action with open space. I'm going to talk to the town clerk and find out what's going on with that, so hopefully she can rattle some pages and find out what's going on. Mr. Cohen, EDC.
We have a meeting this Wednesday, and we'll be discussing putting the final touches on our second annual business summit, which will take place, correct me if I'm wrong, February
26th.
Yep, gotcha.
We have
So-
a meeting that day.
What's that?
We have a meeting that day. 2:26. Is it evening or daytime?
Just
This
Thursday.
evening. It's a
We have a
Thursday,
meeting
yeah.
on 23rd? Oh, 23rd, sorry.
Oh yeah, yep.
I
Same
can't
week
read.
though.
It's a Thursday.
Um,
Thursday.
Yeah, that's about it.
That's Mr. Robertson, CDC. CPC.
No updates.
CDC. Sorry, CPC.
No updates.
The last update was great. That was a great update. Mr. Benonato, Drainage and Stormwater Committee.
Didn't no word from the select board on whether or not they're going to do away with that.
That is being dissolved. I will. We're just waiting on the final minutes to be approved. That just reminded me of that. We need to do that.
Nice.
That is, it's just waiting on the final steps.
Then we can move forward with the Hogsett redevelopment.
Hogsett redevelopment. And Tom Planner, can you give us an
No,
update
no.
on High Street Park?
Well, I had hoped to have been somewhere with this park. I would love to have done something for Mr. Ellis so that he could see a shovel in the ground. Unfortunately, at this time, we're still waiting on land planning. The clock is ticking. We have, council did send them a letter, and the clock is ticking. We have till the 15th of February. Council did receive an email from the principal at that company stating that the person working on it is to focus on that and nothing else. I sent a email this morning, let's say this afternoon, to council and said I had not received anything as of yet, and that obviously on Sunday the 15th is the deadline. So I really am hoping that we will get what we need by the end of this week. But if not, it's going to be a whole different ballgame.
Yeah, so we'll definitely have a good update on the 23rd.
Yes.
Thank you. Moving on, discuss consultant estimates to update the Hanson subdivision regulation. Tom Planner.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So as I, 1 or 2 meetings ago, the current subdivision regulations are dated 2012. So we're in 2026, obviously that's 14 years. Engineering standards have changed, business practices have changed, regulations have changed. So it's time to update these regulations, and now that we've had some of the big stuff behind us, I think we can focus on that. That being said, I reached out to 3 different consulting firms to provide an estimate to assist with updating the subdivision regulations. And so I have on the screen, one company was Beals and Thomas, and they provided an estimate to assist with kickoff meeting, review the regulations, identify sections that do not meet engineering and design standards, identify sections that do not meet current construction industry standards, identify sections that do not meet current state and federal regulations related to stormwater management, climate resiliency, dark sky compliance, and those last 2 are that they're here today, so it's things that we have to deal with. And identify that any sections that may not comply with the MGL 41 section 81K through 81GG, which is the subdivision regulations. They would draft and revise the regulations. They would obtain any feedback through planning board meetings. They would prepare a final version. They estimate that a budget of $25,500 for this work. And they break down the individual tasks. The second company I reached out to was VHB. VHB assisted us with open space and recreation plan. Their scope of work is stakeholder interviews. They will have audit the regulations and pretty much do the same as the previous consultant. They'll review all our regulations and see where they're lacking and need updating. They will update the regulations, and they estimate it will cost them $48,000 to do the work.
That's a pretty drastic difference.
Yeah. The last company is GPI. A gentleman that works for GPI also happened to work on the 2012 subdivision regulations for Hanson. And it just happened, he walked into my office one day, he was in town, and he just happened to stop in, so I took his card, and he was talking to me, explaining that Noreen O'Toole, when she was here at the time, he worked with her to actually update the regulations. So again, they would do the same tasks as the other 2 companies, and they have determined that, let's see here. Where's the price? There it is, thank you. So they have an hourly rate, and it will not exceed exceed $22,950 without additional authorization. So you have $22,950. You have $48,000, and you have $25,500.
Are these procurements going through state contract?
Well, these are estimate and procurement for engineering services. You don't need to go through the
They're not
procurement
regulated by
process.
30B or anything like that?
Nope.
So we could do best value.
Yes. And so I have an article in for the May town meeting to appropriate funding for this. So the only thing I need is to put a hard number in for that article.
Actually, no, Tony, I'd put all three proposals for the town meeting and let the town meeting vote.
That's up to you.
That's a suggestion. You know, these are the three proposals that came in. It's up to the town if you want to decide where we go as far as funding.
I mean, you know, if we,
Leave it up to the taxpayers.
I mean, VHB, it's a bit high.
And we don't want to do it, Praise.
You know?
That's what that says to me.
You know, I think Beals and Thomas, very reputable firm. They've done work with on the Conservation Commission and GPI. They did a really good proposal. They also had a lot of additional information that they supplied and stated who the designated person would be, which is actually on the proposal, which is David Jordan, that he would be the one that would oversee this. Well, he'd be the one working on this project, and he's a professional engineer. He's a professional land surveyor, so he's well versed in the regulations.
Yeah.
So it's, you know, I could put an article. I could put funding of $22,950 to not exceed $48,000.
Yeah, for a good range.
Okay.
Well, and I also think that would cover any instance where if there's an additional cost, you'll have the pay down
Yeah.
at least earmarked.
Yeah. I mean, you know, because they have hourly not to exceed,
Yeah.
which, you know, we have to make sure that they stay on task, and we have to make sure that we stay on task as well.
Yeah,
So
prevailing
that-
wage.
How much was the first one again? Sorry.
So Beals and Thomas came in at $25,500.
Okay. Sorry, had a senior moment.
That's okay.
It's prevailing wage and
Yeah, whatever they do. I mean, this is I'm not even sure that this.
I think that
becomes a
where
prevailing wage
are
because
we
it's engineering services.
where are we requesting the funding come from? General fund?
Well, I put in, that's pretty much,
Yeah, because it wouldn't come out of your operating budget.
no.
Okay.
So is there a company that the board looking at this would, I mean, I think VHB should just, you know, not really sure that I'd go with that.
I like option 3.
Yeah, I do too.
GPI?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, one thing is, again, you know, the guy that came in to see me, he's like, yeah, I worked on it with, and I
He's
went
familiar with it.
Yeah, and I went into one of the file cabinets upstairs and looked at and his name was there.
Yeah. Do you want a motion for endorsement or?
Yeah, I mean, if I'd like a vote to, you know, choose one of these companies, and then, but I'll still put the range in from.
And the three quotes are everybody can see it.
Yeah.
Chair would entertain a motion for endorsement from the board for the selection of a GPI for the proposed Hanson subdivision regulation
Update.
update.
So,
Motion's been made by Mr. Robertson, seconded by Mr. Benonato. Any discussion in regards to that motion? GPI. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? 4-0-1, Tony.
And I will send, I didn't have these, when I sent you the information, I will send all three of these estimates to each one of you
Perfect.
via email.
Moving on, discuss and approve updates to the Planning Department Procedure Manual. Town Planner.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So, as you know, we have a policy and procedure manual for the planning department. It's an organic kind of, it's an organic type of document.
Organic paper.
Yeah. And, let me just, okay, here we go.
Is it caught on here in Town Hall?
I don't know. I mean, I've heard talk, but so what I asked Jay to do is to go through it, do some updates, give it a little bit of a makeover, and
SOP for the department.
yeah, she's done a fantastic job.
Put her touch on it.
So you know, it's pretty much, and I think we have a copy here. If you want to pass that. We have a hard copy here, if you'd like to take a look at it, Mr. Chair, or pass it along. So it's all the procedures. If you were to walk into the planning department day one, which is actually when Jay started last July, we had this, and I gave it to her because our previous admin, Kim Cunningham, used that, and I use it as well. And so I asked her to kind of make notes and so forth. And when Jay walked in first day, I gave it to her and said, read this, because this pretty much has everything you need to know on and what to do, and then ask me questions if there's things you don't understand.
Welcome on board. We're glad you're here. Take the next 2 days and just read this manual.
And and I think it's helped.
Training 101.
Tremendously.
This is great.
So so again, what we did is we, she updated it, and it's all in the Word document, so it can be updated as it need be, as things change, as people come in and out. So we just want to bring it to the board. And yeah, I've made mention of this to other departments that, hey, when I started, there was no admin, there was no one. I just started making notes, and I said, okay, you need a policies and procedures book, because if this ever happens again, at least when someone walks in, for instance, if the town said, you know what, every single person that's staff in the town hall is got to go, and the planning board is the one that has to run the department, you can take that book and you know how to do a warrant, you know how to do a turnover, you know how to input things into the software, accounting, how to Form A, regulation, application, permitize, all of it. It's all in there. So,
I like it.
yeah.
I like all the FAQs and stuff too.
Yeah, and yeah, was it this one that you had?
Have you said you mentioned it to other departments?
Yeah, we've I've talked to other departments and mentioned it, and other departments have talked about wanting to do it.
Mm-hmm.
It's just it takes time. So there's a lot of documents at the end, and Jay did a fantastic job. So there's a lot of information. I mean, there's over 100 and is it 84 pages or 54 pages? So
Something like that.
it's a big document.
Yeah. Nice.
The entire open meeting law.
Yeah.
So I
Very
can
nice.
I sent it via email to everyone, so feel free to read through it. So it being organic, I didn't know if the board wanted to just vote on
Yeah, it's nice.
as procedural.
You want to vote? You
Sure,
wanna
this is a procedural, on the updated, call it January.
approve the updates?
Yeah, call it February 2026.
Chair would entertain a motion to approve the updates to the Planning Department Procedural Manual presented by the Town Planner and Town Planner Administrative Assistant.
So moved.
Motion's been made by Mr. Cohen.
I'll second it.
Seconded by Mr. Robertson. Any discussion in regards to that motion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
401, Tony, that is approved. Thank you, Jay. All right, moving on, town planner update.
First thing we have is 3 invoices to be paid. The first one is to the Whitman Hanson Express. They were going through their books and we apparently had a couple of outstanding invoices, which kind of shocked me, but we went through everything and we owe them $300. So that's the first warrant that you have before you. The second one is from CAI Technologies. They are the company that handle our GIS, and they created the zoning map and added the overlay district. And not only did they add the overlay district to the hard copy of the map, but also on the GIS platform. And the third warrant is for $3,900 from Apex Engineers, and that has to do with our SUE, which is part of the McQuan TIP project.
How are we doing with the tip?
So we did the borings. They brought it to MassDOT. They had a meeting. MassDOT did what they usually do, and they asked more questions and some additional information that Apex is now working to provide. They had some questions on the borings, some just additional information. They haven't asked for any additional borings, they just wanted some additional report information. The next item I have is that the Attorney General and the Executive Office of Housing and Livable Communities.
Hold on a second, Tony.
Yep.
There's an invoice in here that I endorsed on August 25th.
Is that for the Whitman Hanson?
$100
Yeah.
running Whitman Hanson Express.
Yeah, so what happened there was that original warrant, there was an error. Instead of $100, it was listed as $1. And then accounting deleted the warrant because it was an error, which I thought was odd, but neither here nor there. We're here and we're in the fiscal year that we can still pay it.
Any discussions from the board in regards to endorsements, or any questions in regards to these debts? Great, thanks, Tony. Attorney General's office.
So the Attorney General and the Executive Office of Housing and Livable Communities approved Hanson's MBTA overlay district and zoning bylaw. So we're good to go. We can apply to all the grants and keep moving forward. I'm not sure if the board saw in the news within about the last week or so that the Attorney General has gone after the 9 remaining towns.
So, yeah.
Yeah, she doesn't have, no one's running against her, so she's open reign.
Yeah.
I'm actually a little shocked by that.
So our housing production plan, that has also been approved. Let me just. So that was just recently approved by the Executive Office of Housing and Livable Communities. So we're up to date on that. Our current subsidized housing inventory
Yeah, we went up.
went up to 5.05%. So we're at 5.05 right now, and that number should increase because there's some additional units that'll come online during the rest of the year.
So maybe 6%.
I don't know if we'll get to 6, but maybe 5.5. I submitted the 2025 annual report. So, pretty busy year.
Yeah.
So 11 pages of the report talks about what plans were the board approved, discusses the master plan, office personnel, MS4 regulations, the TIP project, Main Street improvements, the complete streets, our green communities, our MVP, municipal vulnerability, MBTA zoning, zoning bylaw, what we had for new bylaws, information regarding the town-owned properties, the grants that we had. So as I went through it, I was like, wow, we did a lot, and we did a lot in a year. So which is good.
Mostly driven by that MBTA.
And High Street Park update, I provided with that update, so we're good there. And that's all I have.
Board members, you want have anything go to the order? Anything? Any questions, comments, concerns, cheers, jeers?
There's one thing I wouldn't mind. Do you wanna talk about that trails link?
Sure. Just a quick update on the Trails website. It has migrated to the domain where it's ultimately going to be hosted. So it is technically live. We are not advertising it just yet because I'll be presenting it to the select board on the 24th. And then we'll advertise it after that, just in case they had any input or things that they want to change. But it can be found now at hike.hanson-ma.gov. So it is a subdomain of the town website.
Yeah, it's going to be linked on the town website, right?
Yes.
Okay, great.
There will be a button on the town website
Yeah,
that'll take you
perfect.
there.
What was it?
Hike.hanson, and then just the
Dash.
dash MA, the same as the town website. Also, we, based on suggestions, I've added the community bulletin board page.
Oh, cool.
Is new.
Is that URL supposed to stay? That's just an odd URL. It looks like it's on a separate server. But I'll talk to IT.
So it will have to stay. It's a subdomain, and that's the only way we can get it as a subdomain so that it can be that .gov.
Yeah, any subdomain off the Hanson-mass.gov site will always be whatever dot. So
Even if it's, okay.
you get like planning board dot Hanson dash MA. That dot.
Okay.
Yeah, the dot denotes a sub.
Okay, it's two different
Subnets.
ways. Sometimes it's a new server, sometimes it's a different domain.
Yeah, we want to stay with the .gov because then we don't have to pay for it.
Okay.
Well, we do still. It's not being hosted by Civic Plus because they couldn't handle it.
Really?
So it is being hosted by Host Singer, but the feedback I had gotten was that people wanted it to remain a .gov website and be connected to the main website in an obvious way, so that was sort of the decision that we came to, was to make it a subdomain so it could stay .gov. And then Matt's been great working with me and helping with that, and has paid for the hosting from IT's budget.
Shouldn't be that much.
Yeah,
It's like 30. Yeah, it's $30 or something like that for a year, I think, isn't it?
It's a lot of money.
In this time.
So if anybody would like to share something on the community bulletin board page before the select board meeting, I would really appreciate it, because then it won't be just me. And the way that works, just in case anybody is wondering, is things do go through an approval process. So I've built in an admin page into the website, so whatever people are submitting for the community bulletin board page will have to be approved before it goes up.
So it's, as Jay said, we're at a soft launch right now.
Yeah, perfect.
And pending any edits at the select board level, we're hoping to do, let's say, a hard launch on the 26th at the business summit.
Oh, that'd be cool. Yeah, very cool.
At
Very
that
nice.
point, we'll push it out on socials and whatnot.
So,
Great, great work. Anybody have anything else?
Nice job.
Entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Wow. That was such a delay. Motion's been made by Mr. Benonato, seconded by Mr. Cohen. Any discussion in regards to that motion? It is, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? 401, Tony, 7:41, we are adjourned.